Hey, how's it going? It's Saran. I'm a hip hop artist, spoken word artist, and music producer, and I am also a mentor with Southern Word, and I am here partnering with Studio NPL. Today, I'm gonna be talking with you about Garageband. So we're gonna be covering in this video just the basics of how to open Garageband, what are the different types of tracks that you come across, whether audio or MIDI tracks, or the drummer, the different interface and how to navigate inside of Garageband, how to create regions and drop and drag audio files, and then also how to arrange and export. So stay tuned as we dive in. Whenever you open Garageband, it's going to bring you to the screen, and this is going to ask you whether you want to create an empty project or if you want to open one of these templates. But for now, let's go ahead and go to empty project. And then as this open, you'll get to the screen right here. And so this screen is where we're gonna kind of start off for now. So you have software instrument, and a software instrument is basically what it sounds like. It's any instrument that is created by the software. So you can play a keyboard or a guitar or a saxophone or a trumpet or a drum set, all from your keyboard, whether a MIDI keyboard that you have plugged up or your actual physical keyboard on your computer. So let's kind of open this up and look at it now. So notice that the first thing that pops up is you have this on-screen keyboard. You have a bunch of different settings and configurations, and it's connected to the different buttons, right? So you can hear me playing here. And then your numbers up here, you have this area where you can change the pitch bend, where it kind of bends it there, or you can bend it up. You have modulation. If there's any effect that's on the keyboard, like it kind of has this like wah, 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 wah sound, you can make it really pronounced or you can turn it off. Tab is the sustain pedal. So when you press it, it'll just kind of hold out the note. You have the octaves here. And then over here you have the velocity, and velocity is another word for sound, or not sound, for volume, sorry. And so when you have your velocity go up all the way to 127, that's the loudest. And then if you have it lower. And that's key because different instruments will have a different sound whenever you hit the note, depending on how hard you hit it. So something good to note. Here to the left, we have the library window, in which if I scroll over, you can see all the different instruments that we can change to. So we can change to a drum kit. And so once we change this, now if we bring up the on-screen keyboard, the shortcut is Command K. Now we have all these drum sounds. Or if we come back, we can go to a guitar, we can go to any mallet instrument, a bass, a synthesizer, you name it. So for now, let's go to an acoustic guitar, just so we have this. All right. So this area right here, this is gonna be your main control area. So this right here is your track. Notice that it says acoustic guitar, and then when we create, we're gonna create regions, or it's gonna be the green block that's on the timeline. This area down here is going to be your area for smart controls. And so what you're gonna do with these smart controls is it's just gonna allow you to be able to change how the instrument sounds. So we can play with some of the frequencies, boosting the low end and the high end, add a compressor, some ambience, and then some reverb. And then also keyboard sensitivity based upon how hard we hit the notes. And you can add additional plugins down here as well, which we'll cover all of this a bit later. So this has basically been it for software instruments, and then now we're going to look at audio tracks. So the next type of track that we're going to talk about is the audio track. Now notice that the software instrument is green and the audio tracks are blue, and there's two options. So this first option is whenever you're recording with a microphone, or if you're recording with the microphone in the computer or an external mic, or if you're dropping audio, kind of like a drag and drop situation from Finder. And then this option is if you're plugging in a guitar or a bass directly into your Mac to be able to record. And what's cool is that GarageBand actually has virtual amps and effects like pedal effects that you can add to your recording afterwards. So you can give it a clean or a distorted effect without having to have an actual amplifier and then miking the amp. So for now, let's go to this one. We're gonna check out the mic. Notice that these options at the bottom pop up. You have input, and we're gonna select the input 1, which is gonna be the internal microphone on the laptop. You have this option right here. I wanna hear my instrument as I play and record, and that allows you to just be able to hear live whatever the input source is. So if that's my voice or if that's the guitar directly. Be careful about checking this if you don't have headphones on. So make sure that whenever you're recording an audio track that you do have headphones when you select this option. Right here, my instrument is connected with, and that's built-in microphone. That's the microphone that we're using, and then I hear sound from. And this is the output, and this is the input device. So now that everything looks set, we're gonna click create. Now notice that it creates this new track right here. The browser library window looks different, and even the smart controls at the bottom look different as well. You have this button right here. This is gonna be your monitoring. So notice that as I'm snapping or as I'm touching the microphone that you can kind of hear that. And then so what we can do is now, when I click record, you'll hear the metronome, and then you see how it's recording this red area, and when I stop it, it's blue, right? So this is gonna be the audio region, and then I can move this around and manipulate it as needed. If I have different specs or different templates, presets right here, so here are some vocal presets. If it was a guitar, I could go here, or an electric guitar, I could go here. And then just some effects down here, whether compression, EQ, you have some reverb and ambience that you can add. And you can control some other things like the recording level or the volume, again, which input it is, monitor feedback protection, and then some additional plugins that you can add later. And this is gonna be it for the audio tracks. All right, so then the last track type that we're gonna talk about is the drummer. And this one is really cool because basically it's an AI drummer that you can pick the genre, the style, and the kit, and then manipulate some different characteristics of his kit. And it'll actually lock into the tempo or the BPM, the beats per minute, and then just play along with your track. So click create, and let's see what happens. So right now we have Kyle, he's a pop rock drummer. And so if we play this, so it's a cool groove, and then let's say if I was to switch it to 140. And so down here at the bottom, you have this matrix that has simple to the left, complex to the right, loud to the top, and soft at the bottom. So what I can do is I can move this around, and it changes what Kyle plays. And you can see it in the yellow region here at the top. So this is simple and soft, where now you get more of like a side stick vibe. But if I go loud and complex, he's really like wailing on the drums. And then you get fills, right? And so let's say if we just kind of go here, I can change the kit that he's playing with over here. And then you have the different instruments of the drum kit highlighted. So right here you have the kick and snare, and I can move this, and it changes how often he plays the kick and snare. The cymbals, I can increase the frequency here. And then I can change it. So right now it's on this ride and crash, but I can change it here to be on a hi-hat. I can turn on toms if I want. And then you can even add percussive elements like a clap, a shaker, or a tambourine. And then over here you do have other drummers that you can select. And then down here you have different sounds or different kits that you can choose. So yeah, so that's it for the drummer track. Okay, so when you open up a new empty project, this is what shows up first. And this is basically just asking what is the track type that you want to start with. So we're gonna go ahead and just click software instrument for now. And then notice that all this stuff pops up, and it's pretty crazy right out the gate, right? So this right here that I'm dragging around, this is actually the on-screen keyboard. You open and close this with Command K, and basically it allows you to play the instrument. We'll talk more about this later. So from here, let's just go over the user interface so you can get an idea of what all these buttons are and how to navigate around GarageBand. So right here, this first button right here is the library. And you can open this with Y as the shortcut. And this just allows you to see whether the software instrument, if you want to change the instrument, or if you have an audio track, this helps you change the plugin chain that's on it, different things. This right here is the quick help. And so when you have this clicked and turned on, anytime you hover over anything, it just kind of gives you quick information about what things are. So you can kind of like navigate and learn from here as well. So I'm gonna turn this off for now. This knob right here is the smart controls, and that's for whatever track you have selected. It gives you some quick effects accessibility at the bottom. So we'll turn that off for now, and then here you have the editor. And the editor, it will show the audio file if you're using an audio file, or if you're using a software MIDI instrument, it shows you the keyboard, and you can actually draw in your notes here. And then that way you can create the melody that you want. So then you have the rewind button that just moves the playhead marker back, the forward that moves it forward, stop, play, record. This is the loop off and on, and that is turned on with this. So then you have all your transport information here. So what bar and beat that the playhead is located on. Here's the tempo and BPM. This is the time signature right here that you can change. It typically comes in 4/4, and this is the key of the song. And this is important just because if you are transposing any loops or anything, it will automatically adapt to the key of the song. And so you can change that here, and you can go in a major or a minor. Now this arrow right here, you can actually change it. So if you want to see different information, right now it's set to beats and project. If you click here, it will change this to beats and time, or just beats, or just time. So you have those options. This right here is, if you have an audio track, it is a tuning fork. So this way, if you have a guitar or bass, you can play a note and it will actually show you how in tune or out of tune that specific note is. This right here is the count in. So whenever you get ready to record, it's gonna give you 4 clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, go. Just so you can kind of have some time to prep. This is the metronome or the click. This is your master volume that you can move up or down that controls everything. Here is a notepad that you can open. So you can actually type notes, or you can type lyrics here and have it connected to your GarageBand project. This right here is the loops, and you can actually open this and you'll have access to all the loops that GarageBand has that you can just drag over. And this is the media browser. In the media browser, you use this to be able to access any files inside or outside of GarageBand. So you can just drag them in directly and not have to go find them through the Finder window, which can be really helpful. This little plus right here is the add new tracks. So you can click on this and it'll open that window from before. So we can go and add an audio track just for demo's sake. Notice that everything looks a lot different now. We can go ahead and close this. Notice that the tuning fork is here now. And then boom, there's your tuner. And then this right here is the catch playhead. And this is just gonna make sure that the playhead stops and starts, or it continues going, which is really nice. On the individual tracks, you can double click here and change the name of them. So let's call that software instrument. And then right here, it just, if you double click on it, it opens up the smart control so you can see that. This right here, it looks like the speaker icon with a slash. This is mute. So if you want to make it where you don't hear that track, you can click that. And then the headphones is solo. And solo is where that's the only track that you hear. This is a volume slider 4 the track, and then here's a pan knob, so you can either send it to the left ear or to the right ear. And then for the audio track, you have a different button right here, and this is input monitoring. So this way you can hear what it is that's coming in directly from your input source. So whether that's from my microphone or whether that's from a guitar or a bass, so you can hear that directly. So this covers everything that you see here in GarageBand, and now we'll move on to the next part. Well, congratulations. If you stuck with me this far, then that means you understand the basics of GarageBand. I took you through a series where I covered the user interface, so now you understand all the different buttons and bells and whistles. We covered the software instrument, the audio tracks, as well as the drummer track. We covered how to drag and drop and import audio, as well as how to export your files. If you like this video, we have so many more videos on different topics that can be found at the Nashville Public Library YouTube channel, as well as Studio NPL. And if you have any teens that is interested in music production workshops, as well as writing workshops, reach out at southernword.org. And this has been another session with Studio NPL, learning about GarageBand. If you like more, stay tuned.
How I win.
Today, we're going to learn how to sew a cactus pillow. Now, you may be familiar with these beautiful plants that you may or may not have been able to keep alive at home, and we're going to make our own version out of fabric. These are cute little pillows. You can make them of various sizes, and to get started, you'll need to make a pattern piece. Now, to make this piece, draw and cut out a crescent moon shape and chop off the tips of the top and the bottom. On the left, we have the larger size pillow that I made, and on the right, we have the smaller one that I will be making in the video. Next, when cutting out the fabric, I have my fabric folded in two, so there are 2 layers to this. I'm going to set the piece down and trace it out. And then I'm going to play around with the puzzle pieces of this pattern to make as many possible as I can fit. I'm going to need 12 pieces for this pillow. And once you have enough for 12, you can go ahead and cut each one of them out. For cutting, simply focus on one line at a time and cut each little piece as accurately as you can. Once you have finished cutting out all of your pieces, you're ready to start assembling. With your sewing machine ready to go ahead and place pairs of these pieces right sides together. So if there's the wrong and a right side, put the right sides together. We're going to sew along the outer edge of the crescent moon, going down to the tip. Remember how we chopped the edges off of the pattern piece? We're going to want to go about 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 an inch in as your seam allowance. Repeat this for each pair. So we're going to have a series of pairs, and for this pillow I had 6 pairs, consisting of 12 pieces total. Once you have finished with each pair, you're going to basically have a series of little pockets. You can turn them right side out. So starting with the first one, just grab one to stick to the short side of the crescent moon and stick it to another with the insides of the crescent moon together. Again, right sides facing. You're going to sew these down the middle. And you're going to repeat this, adding a pocket on over and over. It's basically going to look like a deflated balloon at this point, or a beach ball. When you get to your last pair, don't sew it all the way. Leave 2 or 3 inches at the bottom. You're going to want to leave yourself space to put the stuffing in. So it's time to add the stuffing to fluff up our pillow. I do have some fiber fill. This could be cotton or polyester. And then also I have fabric scraps. These work so well to fill up pillows, and it's a great way to get rid of fabric that you would typically throw away. I'm going to use both of these. And I'm just going to slowly begin by grabbing little bits of one of them and just stuffing it inside. And I'm going to continue this until the pillow fluffs all the way up, making sure to really get fluff out into those outer corners of the cactus. This may take a little bit of time, and you can also use a pencil to kind of jam the fluff into the corners. But once it's perfectly fluffy, you are ready to add the embroidery. Grab a color of embroidery floss that would stand out against the color that you're using. For this, I'm going to use a bright yellow. These are going to be the spines of the cactus. I'm simply going to follow the pointy seam of each part of the cactus. It kind of looks like a star, so I'm going for the star points. And I'm basically just making a series of X's down this seam. This is going to be the spines of the cactus, and that will really give it that cactus vibe. This step is probably going to take the most time out of each of the steps. So turn on a movie or a TV show that you love, hang out with your family and your friends, and get to stitching. It's really beginning to look like a cactus now. Now, we need to close up this bottom hole where we put all the fluff in. So using the same thread, go ahead and just do a blind stitch, or basically any kind of sewing stitch that you know and have access to go ahead and close up this hole as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just don't want any of the fluff to escape. After sewing it a few times, you can kind of cinch it up. And remember, if you use the same color thread, no one will even notice this. Lastly, we're going to add the flowers to our cactus. And I'm going to use some more scrap fabric in an orange color. Usually these flowers are yellow, pink, red, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the top hole, add one of my layers of petals, add another one, and then add a button. This button's just going to help hide any stitches, and it will give a really great focal point to the middle of the pillow. And that's it. That's all that's involved in making a cactus pillow. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy your new cushion, because this one will not poke you.
If you would like to learn more about any of the tutorials you've just watched, you can find these and many more great books at the Nashville's Public Library. If you have a valid library card, you can also check out ebooks and audiobooks through the Libby and Overdrive app.